Hello, and welcome back. Today we celebrate our 90th episode here on our channel, and the star and focus of this special show is no other than Nintendo's slate-like, wedge-shaped, and, quite surprisingly unfoldable handheld, the original 2DS, which was first offered for sale October 12, 2013. Given the production code of FTR-001, this system was met with quite a lot of derision and disappointment at the time of its release. But, before we look at this contentious and undervalued Nintendo offering, I'd like to take a couple of moments and briefly look back to our last episode, episode 89, and reveal the photo quiz question we posed, in our regular quiz section we call, What in the World? And 2 viewers were able to correctly identify it as a fantastic, fire orange Nintendo 64 console, so a big shout out to you both, well done to each of you. So heading back over to our star and focus, I was surprised to find that there is very little information and no photographs of any prototype for this system. However, an April Fool's joke, using a Photoshop mashup picture did the rounds on social media, just prior to Nintendo's unveiling of the 2DS. Based on an original Game Boy themed render, it got a ton of traction online, and many of us were surprised when Nintendo unveiled the actual handheld. It was pretty darn close to the spoofed, mock-up picture from the year before. But there was a reason for this slimmed-down version of the previous 3DS, and that was mainly twofold. Firstly, the 3DS was not suitable for those under 7 years old, due to the potential of eye injury, therefore limiting sales, which was a huge chunk of change Nintendo really wanted. And secondly, the system would allow Nintendo to offer a new super low retail point, which would hopefully introduce a whole new set of customers and open the demographic to people who have yet to upgrade to the enhanced 3DS system of games. So let's look at some of this system's key operations, various capabilities and its options, as well as its obvious limitations, and finally what it actually could and couldn't do. Spot Pass is a feature carried over from the 3DS. The 2DS system could also detect wireless hotspots or wireless local area network access points, and by doing so obtain information, game data, free software, and videos from Nintendo or the software that is actually in use at the time of connection. Spot Pass is active while playing a game or while the system is in sleep mode. Most Spot Pass notifications can be stopped by restricting online interactions and parental controls, or disabling wireless communication. When a Spot Pass notification is received, the notification LED will blink blue. Street Pass is different. It uses local communication between Nintendo 3DS family systems, meaning that it will still be available even after online services end. However, because Spot Pass uses online communication, Spot Pass features will no longer be available if the 2DS is offline. Nintendo's eShop was well established at this point, and downloadable content was commonplace, and most customers knew how this online store worked. The 2DS had a sleep, or standby button, that you could slide to put the system into sleep mode, as the folding, clamshell design was not available. The ergonomics and overall feel of this handheld was actually really nice, especially for players with larger hands, ironic really when you consider Nintendo clearly designed it for smaller children's hands. Interestingly, the 2DS retained the 2 outer stereoscopic cameras, capable of taking 3-dimensional images, if transferred to a 3DS for viewing. This was still during the period when Nintendo included an AC adapter with their systems, which was great considering the cost-saving mandate for this design, and sadly something that would become far too common from Nintendo, in only a few years. Equipped with an LED power status bar, the player could monitor the LED light to ensure that no unfortunate and unplanned endings to their gameplay occurred. The option to significantly increase playing time on any residual battery power was directly tied to the lighting option selected to play with. The brighter the screen, the faster that battery drained. This was achieved by using both the start button and the D-pad, or directional controller. The system was backwards compatible with both the original DS games cards, as well as the somewhat ultra-rare DSi games cards, but, as previously mentioned, it was primarily an entry-level 3DS system by design. Insertion was at the top of the system, with the games label facing away from the player. The 2DS was able to copy data over from a DSi handheld to allow for ease of upgrading, in the hopes that this would cause a higher adoption rate for the newer system. The replacement of the internal battery was quite straightforward, with only 2 screws needing to be removed, and access was then to be found from under a cover plate. The instructions booklet is perhaps somewhat misleading in regards to the 2 screens and their specifications. It identifies the upper screen as larger and not touch sensitive, with only the lower, smaller screen capable of touch sensitivity. In reality, the 2DS has a single large screen divided up by the system's case, and the upper screen has a transparent cover negating the overall touch screen capabilities. This was done as a cost-saving measure, as a single screen is far cheaper than 2 separate LED screens. Interestingly, for such a disliked and ridiculed system, the 2DS spawned several beautiful and limited editions, with many of the best ones being Pokemon themed. These three are the complete set that honors the original Pokemon games, with these being red, blue and finally yellow. All came complete with remastered downloadable copies of each game, remembering that green was a Japanese-only release. With those cute, Super NES buttons, gorgeous crystal clear colored cases and perfect replica box art, it's honestly quite hard to keep up the hate on this system. With the additional benefits that these crystal case systems offer, an unobstructed look at all the interior parts, its workings and battery location. And while some concept art ideas touted at the launch date never reached fruition, others like this sea blue version were made and are simply stunning. With looks that are so clean, so functional, they're going to be a guaranteed modern classic. But it is definitely the Pokemon exclusives that I'm personally going to remember. Some themes were hastily put together, likely to shift the new, but somewhat ugly swan of a system, the stubbornly unlovable 2DS, while others were simply gems, and in my humble opinion, pure masterpieces. And now we have an announcement to make. Our traditional photo quiz question is moving. It will no longer be included in our main titles, but it will be retained, appearing as a YouTube short. This will still be hosted on our channel, and as before, the big reveal will be made the following week. At the same time, we'll add a new follow-up question, asking the important question: what in the world? So thanks for watching. Feel free to give us a thumbs up and a much needed like, throw in a comment if you have a question or suggestion, and hit that subscribe button. Take the channel to the dizzy heights of us having 400 followers.